But I'll put this link up too tonight on this, because we're in this sort of theme of really attacking women, because that's what they said they'd have to do, all the big players that were creating the culture that we're living through now, and doing the big experiments back in the 30s, 40s and 50s on selected populations. It's now in full force, and we see the effects of it in the dysfunctional society they've created. And we find now, of course, that with the culture industry really focusing on women and giving them all their indoctrination during the 60s of, I actually knew some women who said they'd never make a meal for a man. It was the most degrading thing you could do. They were taught that in school, that particular age group, 60s into the 70s. And then, of course, they were taught to be assertive, which meant aggressive generally. And then I've no doubt at all their bodily structure was changing like the males were too, with the GMO food through the late 80s and into the 90s, because Canada was a test group for it all, and I'm sure they were using it in other countries too without telling the public either. Anyway, angry young girls, binge drinking culture, creating a generation of aggressive and out of control women. This ties right in with what I said at the beginning with Charles Galton Darwin and his book, very well worth a read actually if you get a hold of it. Whenever I mention these books, they got a site on Amazon. It doesn't matter what condition it's in, they just grab them up. And so you should grab these books up when I mention them. I've mentioned these too many times already, that's why it'll be expensive. The number of teenage girls who are physically aggressive and lash out at school and at home has risen at an alarming rate, experts claimed yesterday. So it's on the agenda is on cue. It's right where it should be right now. More and more girls are binge drinking and tired of being regarded as a passive sex. See, there you go again. And it says they're emulating male behavior. They're not really emulating male behavior. They're emulating what they've seen in all the movies. So many movies now have the female heroines who do all kung fu and stab people and machine gun them and do all sorts of crazy stuff. And again, in the music television, it's all boozing and sex and so on and get the guys and all that stuff, you see. So they've really done well with the agenda to destroy the relationship, not only between male and female, but between the intergenerational gap, because the young people have been taught not to even to listen to older people. The disturbing trend has been noted by the British Association of Anger Management, which is dealing with increasing numbers of out-of-control and aggressive young women. The association's findings echo statistics which found that the Ladette Yob culture, they call it Yobos over there, that's malcontents who cause trouble in society, was on the rise with 200 women convicted of violent crimes every week. The number of women found guilty of murder, vicious assault or other attacks has risen by 81%. 81% since 1998. Leading anger management psychotherapists, again an expert on anger, it probably doesn't check their hormone levels too and see what's happened to that. Mike Fisher said there was a strong link between the rise in binge drinking. No, that's a symptom of it. That's a symptom of what's they've been pushed to do. It's not the cause. Among young girls and their physical aggression. He says girls are generally better at dealing with their feelings, whereas boys keep it inside. Well, I've been through that flexosexual stuff already. However, when girls drink, they're anesthetizing their feelings. They're really tranquilizing them. Suddenly they're not able to cope with their emotions appropriately, that's what he says. But that anger has to go somewhere. And that's rubbish because anger's with them even when they're sober. Unlike their mothers who perhaps did not drink as much, they become violent. Speaking ahead of Anger Awareness Week, which begins on Wednesday, Mr. Fisher said, the girls we're dealing with in the schools are increasingly physically aggressive. They're tired of being pushed around by boys, and they're fighting back. That's his excuse too, because he's politically correct, right? They're fed up with being the passive sex. No, they're being exactly what has been promoted for them to be. That's what they're being. Charity Parentline Plus reported that half of the girls that received from parents about their children's behavior, the extreme verbal and physical aggression related to the girls. So it's half. One mother said her 15-year-old daughter has done exactly as she wants for 6 months, returned home from school late and disappearing over the weekend. She said this morning because I wouldn't take to school and buy her some tobacco, she flew into a rage, threw everything off my sideboard, smashed a glass and ripped a towel rail off the wall. Well, you'd see that kind of stuff in music television if you cared to watch, actually. Anyway, doesn't surprise me in the least at all. Not in the least. Not in the least. At all.